Well, the backdoor delusions are official in reality, and so they are for my San Francisco 49ers. What is good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that is a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 80 episodes into this freezing cold podcast that's housed in the very cold fridge. Not really, but houses that spicy, icy cold lasagna. And today we got another show recapping my San Francisco 49ers as they have officially made that backdoor delusion of making the playoffs official. We're going to be talking about their Week 18 season finale matchup against the LA Rams. And yes, sadly, their backdoor matchup in the first round of the NFC Playoffs. And we will reveal who when we talk about it later in this show. And, well, it's probably on the screen anyway if you're watching this on YouTube. Well, here we are. I hope all you delusional Niner fans and the Niners themselves are happy. The delusional prophecy is complete. The Niners beat the Rams. You can thank the LA Rams for choking it up in LA. But in all seriousness, though, for the Niners, for as much as I ragged on about them with their early season collapse, their first half collapse, and then their sentencing, but their sudden decision to start winning and then backdoor their way into the playoffs. It's baffling. It's really baffling. It's like the only thing that this does, honestly, especially if this certain individual does well in the playoffs or even does poorly in this first round matchup, is that John Lynch and Jed York and maybe even Kyle Shanahan perhaps might even want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, Jimmy Garbage Fail himself for the last year of his contract next season. This is all that it could validate. This is all that it could possibly validate a playoff spot. Oh, guys, we're in the playoffs. Yes. This season is not a total failure. But then again, it kind of is because, well, you make the playoffs. That kind of gives the Niners coaching, front office, ownership kind of more validation. It gives them a little sense to perhaps keep Jimmy Garbage Fail. Yes, that mid-card piece of trailer park trash for another season, when in reality you should be starting Trey Lance next season and trying to see what he has in store as a starter. But instead, we're backdooring our way into the playoffs, and who knows if the second half of the prophecy will be complete in getting smashed by the Dallas Cowboys. And then the third part is getting that Nickelodeon MVP for Jimmy G on the way out. So it's insane. But I will say the game itself in Week 18 against the LA Rams, it was probably one of the most nail-biting, one of the most intense, honestly, for as much as I shit on the 49ers with this result, with winning, and of course I want them to win, obviously, but still, backdoor entrance and all, this was honestly one of the best games of the season, not just for the Niners, but in general. And of course, obviously being Week 18, it was filled with high intensity, high drama, like a tale of two halves, I guess you could suppose. It had pretty much a lot of tales of old times, I guess. That Beauty and the Beast crap. So, when you're going into this game for the 49ers, Jimmy G injured in Week 16, coming back into this game. The previous week against the Houston Texans, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play with the thumb injury, and rookie quarterback Trey Lance had to start this game against the Texans, and he did his job. Kyle Shanahan, kind of like made things conservative. But once he opened up the playbook for Trey Lance, then we got to see a little bit of a preview of if and when he starts, and hopefully he does, in the 2022 season. And you got to see what he had with his arms, with what he looks like with the rest of the offense, in that talented group of receivers with Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and now you got a breakout wide receiver 3 in Jawan Jennings. So, you got a glimpse of that in week 17, and then now in week 18, like, you didn't know who the star was going to be, and coming into this game, and the day before, all signs were pointing towards Jimmy G, bad thumb and all, making his return. So the Niners couldn't clinch yet. This is their one and only chance to make it official, make that backdoor slide into the playoffs official. They could have done it a week or two ago against the Texans, but the Panthers and Sam Darnold are stupid, and the Saints didn't lose to the Panthers. So the Niners had to win to get in. For the Rams, they rallied back against the Baltimore Ravens in week 17, and, they were still having something to play for. They had to play for the NFC West. They had to beat the Niners, or they had to hope that the Cardinals lost to the Seattle Seahawks and be giving up Russell Wilson at this point. So, this was a pretty much like a win or go home matchup for the 49ers, but it was also like something to play for the LA Rams. And, back in week 10, these two teams met in Monday Night Football in what was essentially dubbed as a massacre by me and many other people, but it was the massacre that nobody expected. It was by the 49ers and not the Rams. And, the Niners played their ball control the clock running game, and Jimmy G did only enough to contribute, but they got the jump done 31-10, and that was the start of their little winning streak heading into this matchup. But still, that was their little meeting that started it all for the 49ers. And for the Rams, they sluggished a little bit, but they got back on track to put them on point, to put them close to winning the NFC West. So we get to the game. Rams get the ball first. They reversed the script on the 49ers back with the week 10 matchup. They eat up a lot of the game clock to start the game. Sony Michel ran the ball a lot down the Niners' throats, and Matt Stafford threw the ball to Cooper Kupp. So in contrast to the previous game back in week 10, Matt Stafford was actually able to find Cooper Kupp. He had some time to throw. The pass rush was pretty dang good in this game. It was good early on, and they did all they could, and they got to Matthew Stafford a couple of times in the opening possession, but Matthew Stafford completed some short throws, got the ball out quick to Cooper Kupp, his favorite guy, and they got into the red zone, especially when the reserve corner Dante Johnson just got burned big because, well, there was no K'Wan Williams in this game, and they didn't get Diomandre Lenore, the reserve rookie corner, because he was on the COVID list. So you're kind of a little shorthanded in the in the secondary, and well, Kyle Shanahan didn't want to play Josh Norman, that washed ass bum. So, well, the Rams got to the red zone. The 49ers did a good job stopping them there. They didn't let them get a touchdown because Eric Armstead, Arnke sacked Matt Stafford, and Rams only got 3 points out of it. So, I mean, Jimmy G came back to start the opening proceedings for the Niners. He looked okay. Typical Jimmy garbage fail. I mean, 50-50 or not, I'm still going to call him that. And, they tried to move a little bit, but, they had a punt. So we get to the second quarter, and this is where initially saw, the implosion of the Niners. And this was like, where we started to see why I was slowly, like why I was right about them not being a playoff contender, being playoff frauds. And this was the gift of all givings that this was the end. This could have been the end to their delusional playoff hopes right here. So, Matthew Stafford in the offense began to cook the entire defense, the entire secondary, and, they made them look stupid while doing so. Dre Greenlaw gets called for a face mask on Van Jefferson after a decent pickup by Jefferson. And, the Niners already had a hard time stopping the Rams on third downs. They couldn't get off the field. And they already had a tough time doing it. And while they did get a third down stop in the red zone near, the 15 or 13 yard line midway through the second quarter, they completely failed to notice anything on fourth down. The Rams tricked the 49ers into going for a quarterback sneak, and instead Matthew Stafford threw the ball wide open to Tyler Higbee on honestly, I admit, it was a nice kind of trap play for the 49ers. And yeah, the Rams made them look like suckers, and Rams have a 10-0 lead. This could turn ugly really quick for the 49ers if they don't get the ball rolling. And for the 49ers, Jimmy Garbage Fail was on full display. Fumbled the ball. He botched the snap. I don't know if it was the center, but Jimmy Garbage Fail. Actually, Jimmy Garbage Fail had the ball already snapped in his hand. He just refused to throw the ball, and he got strip sacked. And even though the offensive line recovered it, he just didn't want to throw it. And then later he ate a sack on second down, and then the running game wasn't working, so it was like a long ass punt. And then Mitch Wisnowski had a terrible punt, and then eventually got knocked out of the game too. So things were just going really south for the 49ers. And then immediately after the bad punt, the Rams continued to march down, shove their horns down to the 49ers asses. And Tyler Higbee scores another touchdown over the rookie Ambry Thomas. And quickly and fast, not slowly but surely, but quickly and fast, the Rams are all over the 49ers' ass at 17-0, and the rat was beginning. The rat was on. Things were getting really tense for the 49ers. Back on offense, Jimmy Garbage Fail threw an interception. He threw a pick. Typically so, it's the Garbage Fail. But fortunately, the Niners defense came through. Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead sacked Matthew Stafford, gave the Fail one more chance before the end of the first half. And, the Garbage Fail turned into Jimmy G. He found Brandon Ayuk for big gains to get into Robbie Gold's shield gold range. And, at least they got on the scoreboard, 17-3 into halftime. And, they stopped the bleeding for just a little bit, just for 15 minutes, just for a 15-minute piss break. So, yeah, that first half, it was pretty much everything I said it was going to be for weeks. And, people were like, oh, no. For anyone that actually does listen to the show. But for the people that, come across it, if they ever leave a comment, they'll probably be like, oh, no. We're like, it's all fine. It's okay. They're going to come back in the second half. Or it's like, they're going to get off to a better start in later games and whatnot. And this is exactly what happens. Like, this would have been the same for weeks if the Niners made the playoffs. They would make this delusional push to clinch a playoff spot that they don't deserve, and they would get smashed. They would get smashed in the first round by a more quality opponent, whether it be Dallas or Tampa or even the Rams again if they face them, or Arizona if they ever get out of their slump. And, it'll be on, if they were ever on their best day, the more quality opponent would Super Smash Bros. Ultimate the Niners' asses, thanks to Jimmy Garbage Fail and the secondary that was getting toasted by Cooper Kupp, toasted by Tyler Higbee. Odell Beckham and Van Jefferson weren't getting involved that much yet in the first half. So, it was not a good start for this Niners offense. They were... Oh, shit, there's a game? I mean, sure. Oh, it's a home game for us. We're in LA, but... give me some chicken tenders or some shit. Like, most of this shit I'm talking about, most of this shit I'm like, talking about when it comes to that delusional playoff push that ends with a smashing, it was actually happening a week earlier, and they haven't clinched the playoff spot yet. But still, the Niners pass rush gave them signs of life, and they put relentless pressure on Matthew Stafford. I give them credit to that. But the offense, they need to do some work if they want to have a chance to get that delusional playoff prophecy. And especially from Jimmy Garoppolo, 50-50 or not, 50-50, 100%, 25%, he had to do better. He had to do better in this game. So, we get to the third quarter. Jimmy G finally gets rid of the garbage fail label for now. He gets his groove. 2 straight big passes to JaMychal Hasty and Brandon Ayuk. Get in the red zone. And then 2 plays later, Jimmy G tries to hide the garbage fail, or at least Kyle Shanahan in that matter. Shanahan on third down called a design Deebo Samuel run. The Rams don't recognize it. They can't tackle for shit. And Deebo Samuel waltzes into the end zone, 16 yards for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, the Niners have life. And oh shit, here we go again. It's one of those games where the Rams are gonna choke it up. They're gonna charger it. They're gonna take their their LA brother, the LA Clippers, the LA Chargers. They're gonna clip her up. They're gonna clip her up, pal. So Matthew Stafford and the Rams go 3-and-out. The defense, playing their probably one of their best games, if not their best game of the season. Quick 3-and-out, and then right back to work as the offense, and then they get a trick play in. Deebo Samuel, he's not just a runner. He's just not a receiver. He's a thrower. He knows how to throw the ball, damn it. He throws an end zone strike to Jawan Jennings, who, by the way, is becoming another weapon in this offense. He ties the game 17-all, and we got a game. We got a game, folks. And, just when the playoff prophecy was slowly going to begin fulfilling itself, the Detroiting of the Rams begin. It's the Detroiting. If you don't know what the Detroiting means, it means the... It's the choking of Matthew Stafford. It's Matthew Staffording. Matthew Stafford threw an interception towards the end of the third quarter. He intercepted it to the returning Emmanuel Mosley. The Niners are glad to have him back. I'm glad to have him back. It's nice to have Emmanuel Mosley back. One of the bright spots of the secondary. The Niners defense, finally hitting its stride. The secondary, for once, not being total shitheads. So we get to the fourth quarter. The Niners can't take advantage of the interception. Had they, they would have taken the lead. But nonetheless, the pass rush on the Rams' next possession after the punt gets a good sack. This was really good shit right here. Fred Warner, Arden Key, team up for a sack on Matthew Stafford, harassing his ass and forcing another 3-and-out. And then Niners go on another long drive, going on a 5-minute drive, get towards the end zone, but Jimmy Garbage fail struck again, throwing into triple coverage, and he was complaining about a roughing the passer call on I think it was one of the Rams defensive line, might have been Aaron Donald or somebody else, but he is complaining about getting hit on the helmet. Not sure where, but whatever. But either way, you threw it into triple coverage like you typically do. That's why you call Jimmy Garbage fail. And then, of course, George Kittle can't catch it because he's getting triple teamed. You can't catch it one-handed yet in triple coverage. So Jimmy Garbage fail can't find the open guy. And, of course, Jalen Ramsey, the lockdown corner for the Rams, who has been pretty quiet in the second half, he juggles the ball in the air like a circus act and catches it for an interception. So that wakes up the Rams a little bit. The Rams offense finally came to life, and they get back in check. The Niners are kind of back to their second quarter itself on the secondary. Cooper Kupp burns their asses again, and the Rams get the go-ahead touchdown. Cooper Kupp strikes again. The lead is taken back 24-17 in favor of the Rams. Jimmy Garbagefield gets sacked again on third down the next drive, and the Niners seem like they're gonna lose all hope to not get that backdoor appearance, and like the prophecy is not gonna be fulfilled. It's not happening now. Jimmy G, your off season is gonna come sooner than later. Your ass is going bye sooner than later. But then the Niners defense get their big stop of their own. Credit to them. But damn it, you're just keeping Jimmy Garbagefield a little longer here. So the offense gets one last chance, and I'll give Jimmy G credit this. He showed out. He really showed out on this last drive. He's trying to give that one last desperate push to like show Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch that, hey, if you're gonna trade my ass, if you're gonna release my ass, I'm gonna give you like one last convincing performance to keep my ass for one more year. So anyway, Jimmy G gets two big passes in to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Samuel, by the way, had a big ass run to put the Niners in the red zone near the goal line, and Jimmy G capped it off a play later with an open walk-in touchdown to Juwan Jennings. Like, Jennings was not covered at all. The Rams did a really poor job covering the Niners receivers, and Jimmy G just found Jennings wide open to waltz in to tie the game. So 24-all going to overtime. The Niners get the ball first. Finally win a coin flip in overtime. They get on this very long drive that takes over 7.5 minutes, but they don't do anything in the red zone. They settle for 3. Okay, fine. Now you just have to play defense. And now is on defense to hold serve, especially on the secondary. The corners have to do shit with over 2 minutes left. So the corners, they had to take care of business. I mean, they gave up like a couple of big, like actually a lot of big plays during this game, especially in the second quarter and in the fourth quarter. So now it was nut busting time. And fortunately for them, the Rams once again served them a big entree of Detroiting Matthew Stafford in the last play of the game under duress, thanks to the Niners' ferocious pass rush. Yeeted a ball, underthrew that ass to Odell Beckham Jr., and guess what? Landed in the arms of the rookie Ambry Thomas. And fuck the Rams. Fuck you. I hate you so much. Game over. 49ers are going to the playoffs 27-24. That is your final score in overtime. On Sunday, January 9th will be the day that the 2021 San Francisco 49ers have backdoored their way into the 6th seed of the playoffs. Unbelievable. Unreal. I will say though, it was one of the best games of the season though. I will say that. But damn, the delusional prophecy, if that's even a word, but I'll say it again. The delusional prophecy is complete. These 49ers, with adequate quarterback play, with inconsistent quarterback play, and also a inconsistent to bad secondary, are going to the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs. Playoffs. You heard that right. So again, I hope these Niners fans are happy. I mean, again, they have every right to. Like, they have absolutely every right to. They can celebrate this. They can be happy about it. They can be sad about it. I don't give a shit. But in my opinion, again, these are just my personal opinions. We can argue, debate, any way you have it. I mean, some people can think that they can make a deep run. They can make it as far as to the NFC Championship game. I mean, certainly, these Niners are not going to beat the Packers. These Niners are not going to beat the Bucks. They might. They have a little bit of a chance to beat the Cowboys, but against the Bucks, the Packers, hell no. So just don't be surprised, on Sunday, the don't be shocked, don't be angry, don't be pissed, don't be bitching and moaning. If and when this happens, this team gets Super Smash Bros, gets hammered, or ever so slightly loses to the ever so inconsistent Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, you all should be voting during that Nickelodeon game when this game is being broadcast on Nickelodeon. You better go to NFLNick.com, whatever that website is, NFLNickPlay.com, and vote for Jimmy Garbage Fail for the MVP. Y'all better do it. Y'all better do it. You better vote for Jimmy Garbage Fail for the Nickelodeon Valuable Player Award during that game. Y'all better do it. NFLNickPlay.com. When that thing pops up, you vote for his ass. Hashtag Jimmy G for MVP. Do it. So as for this game itself, though, you know, again, for as much as I'm against their playoff hopes, this was a really good game. This is another really good game for them. You know, they were down big. They were beaten badly by what should be a better and talented Rams team. You know, I guess it's pretty clear who owns who by this point. You know, the Niners, this was like pretty much a story of their season in one game. Pretty much the first half of the season describes the first half of the season describes the first half of this game. You know, the quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo played like shit, and the secondary played like shit. The second half of the season, it was reflective of the second half and overtime of this game. You know, the defense was lights out, and then Jimmy Garoppolo played pretty dang good in this game. The offense was also pretty good in this game. So I guess that's a really interesting picture when you put it that way. So for the secondary, they held their own, primarily thanks to an excellent pass rush, and they put the pressure on Matthew Stafford. And then on the offense, Jimmy G, even with the 50-50 thumb, you know, it was a roller coaster ride, 70-30 roller coaster ride. And you know what? He led a good drive on the last minute of the regulation period to get the 49ers back in this game and his receiving game. You know, his big three, I guess you could call it his big four now, with Juwan Jennings now part of it. It really helped him out. So overall, good season finale for the 49ers and the faithful. They get what they want. One more game. And you know as hell that when they go to Dallas, it's going to be another show out with the fan base. Quickly, some winners. There are no losers in this one because, you know, everyone was fine. There's nothing to nitpick. The entire defense, you know, the front four, you know, really cranked up with D'Amico Ryans dialing up the pressure in the second half, and that front seven became unstoppable. You know, Matt Stafford barely given time to throw with Nick Bosa, Aaron Key, and the rest of that front seven going after him. You know, it really forced him to get the ball out early, take critical sacks, force those 2 interceptions, including the game-sealing throw. So that defense, you know, could be one of the X factors in their delusional playoff push. But damn, you know, put that defense with Trey Lance leading the front next season, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be a force to be reckoned with. You know, the big three receivers in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and now Juwan Jennings. You know, Jennings is really coming into his own as the wide receiver 3. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel are in front of him, but damn, you know, Jennings is really coming to his own. He's really done a well job to like be that third receiver in this talented offense. So some takeaways from this game, you know, for the 49ers, they got to start faster. They really have to have more productive starts on both sides of the ball, especially against better teams if they're going to go this deep into the playoffs. You know, they can't afford to sleep on the wheel against better defenses like the Cowboys, who have a better like a linebacking core with Micah Parsons and a really good defensive line with DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory. So they can't afford to sleep on the wheel. And especially with an offense like the Packers, if they get close to the second round, Aaron Rodgers is going to whoop your ass. He's really going to whoop your ass like he did in week 3. So, the opposition's going to have a lot more opportunities to strike and run away with the game in a hurry if both sides of the ball, are really slow to react. And, they can't take advantage of their opportunities. Speaking of that, this defense, Jimmy G, are the two things that are going to take the Niners as far as they can, whether it's the first round, the second round, the championship round, whatever. Especially Jimmy G, we saw back in 2019 how Kyle Shanahan was like iffy on Jimmy Garoppolo. He was, especially in that Minnesota Vikings game, and especially in the Green Bay Packers game, like, goddamn, he was so damn reliant on the running game. And who knows, maybe it's not the case here. Maybe he'll want Jimmy G to pass it more. But Jimmy G, if he limits the mistakes, if he takes care of the football, minimizes all those mistakes, maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe it won't be so bad for this delusional push. And that defense, they got to keep up the production. Just be consistent, stay good, and he'll take the Niners as far as they can. And again, the only problem with the playoff spot, is it could lead to potential validation to keep Jimmy around for the last year of his deal. Like, why bother keeping Jimmy Garoppolo for one more year when 2022 should be all about Trey Lance and to see if the dude is ready. I mean, I get Aaron Rodgers sat his ass around 3 years of Brett Favre, but it's Brett Favre. Like, Brett Favre is one of those Hall of Fame quarterbacks that you just can't put away just yet. And then obviously there was the Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes situation. Patrick Mahomes was a generational talent by the time he was ready to start. And when the Chiefs traded Alex Smith, after the 2017 wild card, it's like that was the notion that Mahomes was ready. Trey Lance by now, for whatever reason, he should be ready. I think from what we saw in week 17, it looked like sure he had some things to work on, but it seemed like if with a couple more weeks, with a full off season's worth, and working with the starters and whatnot, you should be ready to go. But as a starter, the Niners should have full faith in Trey Lance after the season to start his ass. Stop keeping Jimmy around. Don't let this playoff run give him validation to stay around for the last year's deal. Trade or release his ass for what it's worth, and start with Trey Lance going forward. This is the thing that I don't like about this playoff spot. Is the backdoor entrance gives the Niners a little bit of validation to keep Jimmy Garbage Fail around for one more year instead of going with the hot hand, or should be hot hand in Trey Lance. Why? So anyway, let me know what you thought about the season finale for the 49ers. Winning a overtime thriller against the LA Rams to clinch their backdoor entrance into the playoffs, heading into this crazy wild card weekend. But what do you guys think about the 49ers season overall, their regular season at least? Let me know. So now, as the Niners have entered playoff mode, let's talk about it. The wild card, super wild card weekend. The Niners versus the Dallas Cowboys, a historic rivalry of sorts. Their 8th postseason meeting in their first one since the 1994 NFC Championship game. I don't know, 1993, 1994. I think is the last one. It was the NFC Championship game before the Niners beat the San Diego Chargers in Steve Young's first Super Bowl. But anyway, this game is going to be on CBS. This game is also going to be on the network that everybody should be watching. It's going to be on the network that rightfully deserves this game, and the network that all of you, whether you're a Niners fan, a Cowboys fan, or a general NFL fan, or you're a filthy casual NFL fan like me, should be watching on Nickelodeon. Yes. So are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain. I can't hear you. Aye, aye, Captain. Oh. I hope you're ready, Niners fans, because you're gonna get smashed. Yes, they are. So, the Niners have finally completed their delusional playoff prophecy in Week 18, clinched their playoff spot, and backdoored their way into the NFC Playoffs after, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford choked it away. And, well, yes, in actuality, yes, he did choke it away. But, Jimmy Garoppolo, in all seriousness, he actually played a decent game, and he actually managed to get the Niners back in this game. But the Niners defense really played a big role in making Matthew Stafford choke this game away. So the Niners, for all intents and purposes, they finished the season 10-7, and they get the 6th seed in the NFC playoffs, the backdoor entrance into the playoffs, one of the backdoor entrances. And then, for how much I preached about them not making the playoffs, but should they make the playoffs, here comes the second part. Them getting smashed, for them losing to a team like the Dallas Cowboys or a team like the Tampa Bay Bucks. But here, they're facing the Dallas Cowboys. So, fortunately for all of us, they didn't sell out to this bitch-ass delusion of the Niners making noise in the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe they will make noise against an ever so inconsistent Dallas Cowboys, who have been so bad, and so good, they don't know what to be for the last 2 months. So, again, this is a game that rightfully deserves to not just be on CBS, but on Nickelodeon. So, for the Dallas Cowboys, let's take a look at them. This Dallas Cowboys team, they began their season. They had a lot of question marks. How is Dak Prescott going to be? If you all remember a year and a half ago, back in October, when it was a game against the New York Giants in Week 5, he suffered a devastating ankle injury that it looked very brutal, that ended his 2020 season. He was doing remarkably well, and this injury really was the end of the Dallas Cowboys' promising season. So here they are in 2021, entering the season, and there were questions like, is Dak going to perform at the same level, or even at a better level, or a lesser level than he did before the injury? So there were a lot of questions about it. But fortunately for the Cowboys, it's quickly erased. Dak was back to his pre-injury form, did very well against the Tampa Bay Bucks on opening night. Yes, they lost, but the good news for the Cowboys was Dak was good, he was healthy, and he was performing at a very good level again. So the Cowboys managed to win 6 straight after losing the opener. But it was before the bye against the Patriots, where Dak suffered an ankle injury, and it was even after the bye where Cooper Rush, their backup quarterback, had to play a critical game against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football, where they had to gain a little bit of edge, in terms of tiebreakers or whatnot in the playoff race, even though it was like pretty early in the season. But still, you want to have as many like edges as you can. So anyway, the Vikings would win that one. The Cowboys, would win one with Cooper Rush. And then when Dak came back in Week 9, it was clear that the long layoff was pretty essential. Because he came back rusty as all hell. They get blown out by the Broncos. They do win against the Falcons, but then you start to see a stretch where the offense would be very inconsistent. You would have like a big tilt of, the offense sucked against Denver. Okay, understandable. The Denver defense is good. And then the the offense would do miles better against the Atlanta Falcons because the Falcons suck. And then when they go to Kansas City, they completely stink up the joint. And then even though they lose to the Raiders, the offense does miles better. And then they win against the Saints, but then the offense kind of, it's still kind of iffy. And then when they go to Washington, it's iffy. It's still iffy. So you kind of get what I'm getting at here. You get good, bad, good, bad, good, bad performances by the offense. So it's kind of like a 50-50 trend for the Cowboys, like to end their season, but still a 6-1 slate the rest of the way. The Cowboys would get the NFC East because the rest of the division is so bad, and they get the 3 seed. So for the Cowboys, heading into this matchup, they got a on paper talented offense. They got litany weapons aside from Dak Prescott. They got a good offensive line headed by guard Zach Martin, who's going to another Pro Bowl. They got a good receiving core in Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson, and Dalton Schultz. Unfortunately for them, I think it's the Week 16 game against the Arizona Cardinals, Week 17, where they lost Michael Gallup to the season to a torn ACL. So one less weapon for the Cowboys in that offense. And then you got a defense led by a powerful defensive line led by DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory. And then you got a secondary that led by Defensive Player of the Year candidate Michael Parsons, a rookie linebacker, and backup Lane Vander Esch. And then you have the corners, the cornerback group led by Tyron Smith. So both sides, especially on offense, it's been pretty good for much of the season. Again, however, they had these strings of inconsistency, especially in games like Kansas City, Washington twice. The first game in Washington was bad, even though they won. The second game was good, where they completely destroyed them. But then the next week, when you faced Arizona, the offense shit the bed, and the defense actually did shit the bed against Kyler Murray. So again, in their best, the offense is and the defense are playing at their best. They click. They have their best game. However, if the offense doesn't click, or vice versa, then the entire team can struggle and they can fall behind and lose the game. So still, the Cowboys are 12-5. They have the 3 seed. They're the NFC East champions for a reason. They finished off their season. They won their Week 18 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was pretty much a glorified tune-up match for both teams, but still, they want as much positive momentum as possible going into this game against the San Francisco 49ers, who, by the way, had their own questions entering 2021. How would they bounce back from all the injuries that they suffered in 2020? What would the defense look like with new coordinator DeMeco Ryans, who was replacing Robert Saleh, who left to be the head coach of the New York Jets? And also, you're losing another key piece in Richard Sherman, one of the corners of a veteran leader in this defense. So this defense would kind of be like a new look, especially in the secondary. But in terms of the front seven, it wouldn't change that much. And then also, you had to wonder when the rookie quarterback Trey Lance would take the reins from Jimmy Garoppolo, if he would, because even though Trey Lance didn't have much starting experience in North Dakota State, he clearly had a lot of potential. He had a lot of upside over the Jimmy G. So it's not like they traded 2 first-round picks, actually 3, including the one back in last year's draft for no damn reason, just to let him sit for much of the year. I mean, sure, he played 2 games, but at some point, the question was he gonna take the reins? Eventually turned out not really. So instead of all that, the 49ers underwent a tale of 2 halves. this entire 2021. You know, they had a 2-0 road trip, granted, against the Detroit Lions and the Eagles, and then they would lose their next 4 or 5 games. The only game that they won during this terrible stretch was against Bears football. Guaranteed. So they would lose to the Packers. They would lose to the Seahawks. And, you know, this stretch included, you know, embarrassing losses at home to the Colts in the drenching rain, and probably perhaps the worst one of the season, to an injury depleted Cardinals who did not have Kyler Murray, who did not have DeAndre Hopkins, who were trotting out Colt McCoy and James fucking Conner. Yes. And yet the Niners got boat raced by a ravaged Cardinals team. But I guess that loss was the motivating factor for them to finally start winning some damn games and try to make a backdoor slide into the playoffs. Because once they lost badly to an injury depleted Cardinals team, they decided to start winning games so they can get into that backdoor 6th seed. So they win their next 7 to 9 games. They would get critical victories over the Minnesota Vikings, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans of all teams. And they swept the season series again to the LA Rams. First in week 10 to start it all, and then in week 18. Yes, the first one to start the prophecy, and week 18 to complete it. So, you know, for the 49ers, you know, you got to give them a little credit for, you know, fighting. But damn, this playoff push that they're about to go on is going to come down to 2 things. Actually, 3. Kyle Shanahan, whether he can make good decisions with coaching. The secondary, can they not play bad? Because for much of the year they have been. And how far Jimmy Garoppolo could take them. You know, for all intents and purposes, Jimmy Garoppolo has been Jimmy Garbage Fail for at least half of the year. So, nonetheless, you know, they're 10-7. They got the 6th seed. They're going to be facing the Cowboys on Nickelodeon. So, for the Niners, they got a good offense. You know, they have a very talented receiving core. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and now we have a wide receiver 3 in Jawan Jennings. He has been doing very well in the past month. But again, the offense, you don't know what you're going to get because of one, Jimmy Garbage Fail, who is going to be called upon by Kyle Shanahan if the main factor, the running game, can't get going. You know, Garoppolo has been called Jimmy Garbage Fail for a reason. His tendency to stay in the pocket for too long. It's like he's stuck to the ground like super glue. He's like a damn statue. He's like a damn amiibo figure. As well as his other bad traits, like, you know, overthrowing his receivers or throwing them so damn high that the defenders bust the receivers' kneecaps. And his erratic playmaking that often leads to turnovers. And, you know, his tendency to take the sack and not get out of the pocket. You know, Jimmy G is the definition of a true statue quarterback that just refuses to go outside the pocket. So anyway, you know, other than that, you know, you got a decent offensive line. Trent Williams, he didn't play in week 18, but hopefully they'll have him back on Sunday in a critical win, in a critical must win against Dallas. Instead, you know, Colton Kivitz, he did relatively well. He only allowed 2 sacks, but other than that, not much else. The right side of the offensive line is what gives me concerns the most. You know, Tom Compton and I think it's Daniel Brunskill. In that right offensive side of the line, it's just not great at times. But again, there are other times where they can be okay, but not great. So anyway, this offense though mainly relies on the running attack. You know, rookie running back Elijah Mitchell, he has been doing a rock solid job in relief of starter Raheem Mostert, who was lost for the year in week 1. I forgot what kind of injury it was, but either way, the starter Mostert was gone. And, you know, when Mitchell's not in the game, you got Jeff Wilson Jr. and Trey Sermon, who is expected to be back for this game against Dallas. You got him in the rotation as well. Defensively, the defense is the stars of the show as well. Probably, if not the second biggest star of the show for this team. Actually, they are the biggest. So, but still, they have a talented front seven, but the secondary sucks. It really sucks. You have a defensive line led by Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead, and this defensive front seven really broke out in the second half of the season. You got reserves like Arden Key, Samson Bakum, Jordan Willis. These defensive ends, these pass rushers have been really generating a lot of pressure all around against opposing quarterbacks. And Nick Bosa absolutely deserves comeback player of the year. And then in the secondary, Fred Warner, their starting linebacker, he hasn't had as successful of a year as the last one, but he's still performing at a quality level, and locking down the middle, and the reserve linebackers Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Grunlaw have been rock solid as well. But the Niners' biggest weakness, aside from Jimmy Garbage-Fail, is the corners and the safeties. They have been very disappointing this year. Even with Jason Verrett in that one game against Detroit, they were not good at all. They were giving a lot of big plays to, of all teams, the Lions. And then when Jason Verrett went down with the ACL injury in Detroit, the Niners decided to replace his ass with Josh Norman. Yes, of all names out there, the washed bum ass Josh Norman. And guess what proceeded to happen? His washed ass getting repeatedly burnt like a over toasted fruitcake, and his ass constantly getting taken to officiating jail for committing the crime of pass interference. But even before and after Jason Verrett went down, the corners, Emmanuel Mosley, K'Waun Williams, Ambry Thomas, they've been like up to the, until I'd say very late in the season, they've been pretty bad, and they would miss their coverages. They would get beat by opposing receivers, whether they were good or bad. They would get completely burnt, and how they would try to counter it? Get arrested, taken to jail, get their handcuffs ready for committing the crime of pass interference, get taken to officiating jail. It's like as if they forgot the good seasons from 2 years ago. But anyway, this is still a secondary that still is able to get critical stops, but damn, they give up a lot of big plays, and they give up some small plays that turn into big plays. And this is what remains Niners' biggest weakness aside from Jimmy Garoppolo. So, in spite of this, K'Waun Williams and Emmanuel Mosley have been doing much better in this very late portion of the season. And Ambry Thomas, the rookie, I think it was like late round pick, he has been coming around. He's been showing signs of improvement this late in the season. So all in all, this team boasts a talented core on both sides of the ball, just like the Cowboys and other teams. But two glaring weaknesses. It might hinder them from achieving more playoff success, if not like any. So again, they clinched a playoff spot week 18, beat the Rams in an overtime thriller. For as much credit as the defense and Jimmy Garoppolo deserve, Matthew Stafford choked it out. He choked it all up for you. So some keys to victory for the Cowboys. You got to fluster Jimmy Garoppolo with your furious pass rush. DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, and others. They got a really good defensive unit. And the offensive line, they could face some trouble against them. If they can generate pressure up front, it'll get Jimmy G out of sorts, force him to get the ball out early and into mistakes and into turnovers and maybe into some sacks. The biggest thing is Dak Prescott has to get has to get going, and this entire offense has to show consistency. Again, the consistency has been the biggest issue for the Cowboys in the last 2 months. Like 1 week, they're lighting it up against whack-ass teams like Washington. And the next week, they lay a total egg against good teams like the Arizona Cardinals. Well, good at the time. And then you go back even further, where they had that bad, good stretch against the other 3 teams in the AFC West, not named the LA Clippers. Oh, sorry, the Chargers. So the thing is, if Dak Prescott is off to another slow start, or he can't control the entire offense, he can't get them running for most of the game, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. And it'll make the defense tired. It's going to get them out of sync. It's going to cause some issues. So this offense needs to be consistent. They need to follow up their performance from Philadelphia and bring it onto here. And for the 49ers, you got to dial up as much pressure as possible against a good Cowboys offensive line. Their offensive line for the Cowboys, they have been relatively good. I don't recall them giving many sacks aside from that one game against the Kansas City Chiefs, but they've held their own against opposing pass rush. The 49ers, I can't pronounce today, but they hold a formidable defensive line that can be a powerful counterpunch to the Cowboys O-line. So defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans has to amp up as much pressure plays as possible to attack that O-line and get after Dak Prescott. And you can attack with the run, and then if all else fails, go with Jimmy G. The Cowboys' pass defense is very solid, with Micah Parsons and Tyron Smith. Their big weakness on defense, though, is their run defense. So one of Kyle Shanahan's preferences is the running game, so it'll be a good spot for Kyle Shanahan to dial up some running plays for Elijah Mitchell in the rotation of Jeff Wilson, and Trey Sermon's supposed to be coming back off IR. So it's a good time for Kyle Shanahan to go with the run, play ball control the clock throughout this game. However, if the Cowboys locked it down, then it's time to go with Jimmy Garbage Fail. You gotta let him throw. Either way, you gotta let him throw anyway, and get the receiving game going. And then last but not least, you gotta avoid another slow start on both sides. The Rams pretty much defense were just like, oh, we're good. We're gonna celebrate early in the end zone. Sean McVay, like, I know, I saw you. So the Niners, this is not new to them, slow starts. They've been doing it against even the terrible teams like Atlanta and Houston. So they've been getting through some noticeably slow starts on both sides of the ball. In the playoffs, you can't let that happen. So this offense needs to execute faster, quicker from the opening snap, especially Jimmy Garoppolo, and the defense has to dial it up. They gotta dial it up a ton. You gotta put as much pressure on Dak Prescott as possible. And if you get into a more dialed up situation, if you keep up the pace, if you move downfield, you be productive, then you have a chance to win this game. But if you get into another slow start, especially on offense, you can fall into a big hole early, and especially it could build and produce for the Cowboys, as they could churn up points in a hurry if the 49ers can't produce. So, going into this game, the Cowboys, for as inconsistent as they are, they're still they possess a very talented team. So do the 49ers. The big thing that can derail the Niners is that secondary and Jimmy Garoppolo rearing its ugly head. If the secondary can't match up its production, if they can't do well, and especially if the pass rush can't get any pressure on Dak Prescott, then the terrible secondary is gonna be exposed. And then if Jimmy G continues to be garbage and, gets flustered by all the pressure, then he's going to be forced into mistakes. So those are some things that could potentially hold them back. And again, this is not a slight to the 49ers. As is, they have the talent, the playmaking to get it done against Dallas. And, the Cowboys have their own issues. But they have a more quality quarterback in Dak Prescott that can at least lead this Dallas team, to a victory past the 49ers. And that's why I'm going with the Cowboys, to end the 49ers' delusional playoff hopes, to end their delusional playoff one and done. Even though, sure, the 49ers made the playoffs, sure. Even if it's one, even if it'll be one and done, even if I'm predicting it, but a loss in the wild card isn't the end of the world. Even if they get smashed or it's a close game or whatnot, it just means for all United fans that I was right. I'm just kidding. It just means, this is vindication that, they shouldn't be in this spot in the first place. If Jimmy G and the bad secondary, and it's just time for when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo as well as the other flaws for this team. So overall, the Cowboys are gonna win. In my opinion, this is prediction. They're gonna win this Sunday against the 49ers. But there's a decent chance that the 49ers can win this. But the quarterback is the big difference, and the defense for the Cowboys is a big difference. But win or lose or Sunday, y'all remember what to do. You definitely know what to do. You got to go on nickplay.com or whatever site it's called, NFLnickplay.com. Go to the website during the game. I don't know what quarter it's going to be. First, second, third, quarter, halftime, whatever. You got to vote and assure that one man and one man alone wins the most coveted prize in all of sports and entertainment. And that is the Nickelodeon MVP. You got to make sure that Nickelodeon MVP goes to one man and one man alone this Sunday afternoon at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern by the end of that game. And that man is James Richard Garoppolo, your 2021 wildcard MVP. Hashtag Jimmy G for MVP. Vote for his ass. You better do it. You did it for one Nick Trubisky last year. Y'all better do it this year for one James Richard Garoppolo. Y'all better do it. Do it. Not anyone on the Cowboys, not anyone else on the 49ers. One James Richard Garoppolo. So you all better do it. Hashtag Jimmy G for MVP. So what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen this coming Sunday when the 49ers take on the Dallas Cowboys on CBS and Nickelodeon? Let me know your thoughts however you can. But that is it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for tuning in to this fine episode of this freezing cold podcast recapping the 49ers season finale of the regular season against the LA Rams and previewing their wild card matchup against the Dallas Cowboys on Nickelodeon. And let me know how you feel. Let me know how you feel about that. And as always, my name is DylanLasagna, hosting this Very Cold show. And make sure you follow everything in relation to Very Cold Lasagna, whether it's the YouTube, audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, as well as the social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. Very cold in the fridge. And until next time, Jimmy G for MVP. Vote for James Richard Garoppolo.